Welcome to Clydesdale Media. Fueled by C4, Cellucor, and Extend. Use the code Clydesdale to get 20% off the checkout at c4energy.com. On Clydesdale Media, where we bring you the widest array of content here on our YouTube channel. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Hit that notifier so you're first to know when new episodes are available. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Clydesdale Media Podcast. I'm your host, Scott Schweitzer. I am the Clydesdale. We are bringing you the athletes of the 2023 CrossFit Games semifinals, just like we did last year. And what's really cool is when we get to bring back one of those people we met along the way last year, again this year, because they made semifinals again. Congratulations, Karisa Stapp.
Thank you. Excited to be back on.
Yeah. So we met you. Kat interviewed you last year during this series for Granite Games. I met you at Granite Games, got to interview you after an event there. So of course you become one of our favorites, and then we kind of follow along with you and your journey. And here we are again in 23 back in the semifinals. But from my understanding, from my sources, you have moved locations from the time we talked last year to this year. And so you're no longer in Washington, state of Washington. You are now in Montana.
Yes. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
So are you working on the Yellowstone?
No. My family's actually living in Montana, so I decided to kind of just make a little change this year just to be kind of closer to them. And so I just kind of took this year. I was saving up money for a couple years with like the intent of like trying to have a year where I can just train. And so I kind of did that this year, just kind of took a step back, came here just to hang out with my family a little more. I was kind of missing being close, and then I've just been using the money I've saved and then seeing what happens this year. So that's been fun.
Yeah, so I have a couple questions about that. One, if you were going to ask me at the beginning of this series, if there's one athlete that is going to move to Montana as far away from city life as possible, and you asked me who to pick that would be, it would have been you.
Oh man.
Does that surprise you?
Not too much. I don't think so. Well, why would you think it would be me?
Because of all of the athletes we interviewed, you were the most about the outdoor adventure. You were working with an indigenous tribe in Washington. And so, and helping them with their fitness, which was super cool. Oh, yeah. And so you've done like 100-mile hikes. You've done all these things. If someone was going to go to God's country where it's just wide open and vast and lots of mountains and beautiful area, it would be Karisa.
Oh yeah, it's definitely been really cool to be out here, and just like, we did have a really long snowy winter. There's still out here where there's still a little bit of snow on the ground, but it is a really beautiful place, and actually I'm really excited to be able to explore more. And it is kind of nice too to just kind of be out of the, we weren't really in a city where I was living in Washington before, but it is even kind of nice to just have that step back, and then it's been nice.
So how long has it been since you've made the move?
I moved out here in September. So, not sure how many months, like 7, maybe 7, 8, something like that.
So all the snowy ones.
Yeah, all the snowy ones. I got here when it was still a little bit of warm in the air, but then it's just been pretty much snowy. And then.
So, have you done any adventures since you've been there?
Not yet, just because it has been so snowy. And then I actually had, because I love to run and love to hike and stuff like that. But I hurt my knee in January this year, and it's like definitely gotten a ton better. But it's like I haven't been able to run as much as I'd like to, but I'm finally it's starting to feel better now, so I'm finally going to be able to do some more of that. And I'm actually hoping this weekend to kind of because my family, we live really close to Red Lodge, like 20 minutes away from Red Lodge, and it's like a ski town, lots of cool hikes
Okay.
around there. And so I'm hoping to be able to kind of get out and do some running, some trail running and stuff soon because that's the fun stuff.
So what's the biggest difference for you moving to Montana from Washington?
I think the biggest difference, just because like we do kind of live far, and I drive into when I do go to the gym I work out at CrossFit Billings, and it's an hour drive into Billings, and I also have like a home gym that I kind of got set up here when I did move here. So I think the biggest thing is just like the different like training. I was working a lot last year, and it was just like fitting in training here and there, and but everything was a little closer, like my gym wasn't an hour away and stuff like that. So I think the biggest thing has just been like the whole schedule shift, and then just driving far to the gym, but just having that be the focus this year. So it has been kind of a shift just because, I mean, I really like the group I work out with at CrossFit Billings. I really like the group I work out with at Washington. So it's just, I miss everyone there, but it's still fun here. So just kind of adjusting to a new schedule like that. So I think that's probably been the biggest difference.
Yeah, and you so but you were working before, now you are solely an athlete.
Yeah, well, and yeah, and that's the plan. That was the plan for this year. I'll probably start. I'm going to actually go to Washington for a couple months this summer to work there, and then probably start getting something going here. But yeah, I wanted to have just 1 year where I was like, okay, let's just train, let's see what I can work on, and then yeah, see what happens. So that's what this year's been.
So I got to ask, you put all this in, right? It's
Mhm.
kind of like your all in year, and then you injure your knee
Yeah.
midway through that season. Um, what kind of mindset do you need to kind of get over the hump of that?
Well, yeah, it was definitely. I feel like the year did kind of start out kind of rough because it was like, okay, everything. Like I saved up all this money and it's gonna be gone by the time this year is over, and so I'm putting it all into this year. And then yeah, I get my knee injury and I haven't been able to like lift super heavy with it in the past few weeks, and that's one of the big weaknesses I need to work on. And then I haven't been able to run and jump and things like that, which I think it's starting to feel better, so I will be able to. So but I think it was at first kind of, I was like, well, great, like all that for nothing. And now I have this injury. But I think I don't know, I think like overall it's actually been a little more helpful because I've been able to kind of be like, okay, I can only do what I can do for this year. So I've been like really focusing on my nutrition and then working on like my gymnastics, which I need to work on anyway, and just working on all this other stuff. And then I think it's kind of given me like a freedom to be like, whatever happens with it happens. I've done everything I can. And yeah, because I can be like an obsessive person, which I think you need to at some point. But like I've definitely gone overboard where it's been like, okay, this year has to be the year it happens. And if not, like, whatever. And then, but I don't know. I think it's been kind of giving me like a freedom to step back and be like, okay, you know what? This is just part of the journey. And, I'm happy I'm doing this year. And if I injured my knee, then there's a reason for that. And so, yeah. And it's also kind of given me some time because I really like, I haven't talked about this a lot, but I really like writing, like fantasy writing. I love reading and writing fantasy books. So I've been able to like work on some other stuff that I maybe not have worked on otherwise. So I think overall, like at this point, I'm like, okay, I think it probably was for the best. But yeah, and now I think it's getting a little better. So I'm like, okay, you know what? Whatever happens, happens. So I think that's been a good change, I guess.
Okay, that's a lot to take in. I want to talk about the writing, but I also want to finish up this line of
Oh
thinking
yeah,
first.
yes.
Okay. So don't let me forget to go back to the writing because I want to talk about that.
Okay.
But so you're all in. What what does Montana give you that Washington didn't?
I think the biggest thing is just like being close to the family, because my brother and sister both live here too, and so my sister just got married, and they're going to be having a baby soon. So and then just being close to my parents. So I think that I think I was just kind of missing being by them, and just like kind of having them around for the whole process, and been like, okay, just kind of like remembering, like having that family connection, just kind of remembering why like I've been doing stuff, and then yeah, and so I think that's the biggest thing, because yeah, Washington, I really like everything there. Like I said, I like the training group there. I really like the training group here, but I think just having the family around, and then just kind of having like you said, just kind of like the openness. I don't know. I think it's just kind of been a good clearing, which I think I really didn't notice I needed, but it has been helpful, I think.
So, was the reason behind the all-in attitude because you surprised yourself at Granite and maybe finished better than you thought you would?
Yeah, I was definitely kind of excited that I was like, okay, I finished pretty good there. And then, yeah, and I did think that I was like, just last year I had like such a hard time recovering from stuff just because I was like working a lot. And I just felt like, okay, if and then though I just didn't have a lot of time to work, like put everything in that I wanted to put in. So I was like, you know what, let's just see what happens if I can like take all the recovery time I need, and like being able to add in all these extra things that I've wanted to work on, and just kind of see what happens with that. So, but yeah, and I think that especially like in Granite games, like seeing like um, there's like obvious gaps, like the legless rope climb workout, I finished like super low in that workout. I've been like, okay, if I can like really put a lot of focus time into the gymnastics and stuff like that, then maybe I could get like those gaps kind of filled up and just kind of see what happens. Because I feel like then there's other parts that I'm like feel good with, like that running event that you guys interviewed me after. I was like, okay, I like loved that feeling of like actually being like able to like compete like with the top people in that. So I was like, if I can just take the time to really just give those weaknesses a really good amount of attention, be able to recover, and then yeah, be able to see what happens with that.
Yeah, you definitely have home runs, right? Like you've got a couple things that you
Mm-hmm.
can smack out of the park and know you're going to compete with whoever is lined up
Mm-hmm.
in that field. And but it was obvious there were a few gaps.
Yeah.
Had you feel like those gaps have closed up over the year?
I think so. I think I mean I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna be the best legless rope climber, but I definitely feel like so much more confident in my gymnastics. And then when I did hurt my knee, I started just doing like I started handstand walking a ton, and I was like, you know what? If I can't run, I'll just like handstand walk, and then all this other stuff like that. And so I feel yeah, I just feel like much more strong in my like, upper body gymnastics pulling, and especially like the past like couple months, I feel like it's really gotten a lot better. And I mean, like I said, I don't think I'm like with the top people on that stuff. I feel like I've definitely gained some ground with that stuff. So that's been exciting to see.
So last year, in the interview with Kat, you said that upper body pulling was a major weakness before you even got to Granite Games.
Yeah.
Like that was something you recognized before even getting out on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you say that it's improved. You're not the best. Are you hard on yourself? And do you have any kind of measurables to tell you like where you're at? Because in Montana, I can't imagine there being like a ton of top end athletes to see kind of where you're at.
Well, we do have at CrossFit Billings, we have like a few athletes that are pretty good. And then Hope Cicero is at our gym. She's a master's athlete. She's trying to go to games in the 40 to 44 division this year. And she's really good at a lot of that upper body stuff. So like I kind of like go off of them, and then but it's also kind of I guess I just base it off of myself. Like, oh, I haven't been able to do this many muscle ups unbroken and stuff like that, or I haven't been able to like go right into a set of ring muscle ups or rope climbs under fatigue. And now I can do that under fatigue and things like that. So I just think that like seeing that my capacity has been improving, I think that's the biggest measure that I've been using just to kind of gauge like, okay, I feel like more confident. Like I don't like when I see a workout come up that I'm like, oh, it has a ton of muscle ups in. It's not like, oh, well, this workout is just to get through. It's like, okay, I can actually put some good effort here and try to, you know, make it in the target times for the workout and stuff like that. So yeah.
Yeah. So one of our listeners, Corey, says Karisa looks like a Nordic princess, like she could easily be from Iceland. So what is your background?
Well, my mom is well, my mom's half Polish, so I guess I'm a quarter Polish then. So yeah, so I'm Polish and we have some German. So and I'm not quite sure. I know we have Polish, German, and then I'm not sure what else, but yeah, I think those.
But no Elsa, no Elsa genes from the Nordic area.
We might have some. My dad says that we do have a little bit of that um, in our blood. So maybe a little bit, not a ton though.
Okay. Well, take the compliment because I think
Oh yeah,
that's
no,
what it was
I
meant
like
as.
that. I'm like, okay, I'll take that. That's really nice.
All right. So let's take a pause from CrossFit writing. And so you're into fantasy writing. Um, are are we talking like Game of Thrones? Are we talking sci-fi? We talking
I would say like more Game of Thrones ish. I mean, not anything like that magnitude yet. I mean, I've always been interested and always been writing something, like have some sort of thing going on throughout the years. But like I said, like having this year to just be focusing on CrossFit, I was like, okay, you know, on rest days, I want to take a step back from CrossFit. And I was like, well, this is a good time if I'm not working to like work on writing, which has always been something I've like wanted to do. And so, yeah, like my favorite author is Brandon Sanderson, and he writes a lot of like epic fantasy books like that. And so, that's like the kind of I do kind of like reading those like epic fantasy books, like Wheel of Time, things like that. And so I actually started writing, like being like, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna really go. If I'm gonna go out for CrossFit, like on my rest days, I can just be really all in on this writing. And I actually finished my first book. I wrote a novel, finished it. I'm probably not. I was seeing if I could get that one published, but I think I'm going to try to go back, re-edit it. And in the meantime, I've just been writing some short stories, and I'm going to be getting one published on this magazine in this next month or so. And then I'm starting to write another novel that I hope to get published. I hope to finish it, edit it, and then hopefully try to like self-publish or traditionally publish it next year. But so I think that's been a really fun thing. It's just being able to be like, oh, you know, I can actually put some time into this too, which has been another interest that I've really never had time to actually perfect and actually get into. So that's been another thing I've been working on. And I never thought I'd actually finish a book, and I did that. So I was like, okay, you know, maybe I can work on this too. So that's been a fun thing.
So a great idea would be a super fit Nordic princess defends her land.
I like that.
Um, but seriously, like, when you write, do you write about personal experiences? Now I know fantasy, like it would be stretched, right? Like stretched into some other
Yeah.
things, or is it a way of escaping completely from your life and living through the eyes of others?
I definitely think it's like more of like I'm taking my experiences and putting them in a fantasy world. And just because like when I do read like the books I really like I get inspired by the characters, and it's like, oh, you know what? I want to like go and do really well at CrossFit now and stuff like that. And like that's, you know, like being a coach. Like I'm not coaching this year, but I've coached a lot and eventually want to start coaching again. It's like seeing that spark awaken other people where they're like, wow, I can do so much more than I thought. I think like using that and putting it into fantasy has been really cool. Like the book I just wrote, I used like that 100-mile hike. I have a lot of experiences that I pulled from in that, where one of my characters is like doing this quest in like these snowy mountains. And I'm like, okay, I can draw on some of that. And then this other book I'm going to be writing, it's like, you know, they're training hard for something. I can draw on some of experiences from that. And so I think that I think it's going to be cool to keep building it. And now that I'm in a habit with it, even if I start coaching and working again, I can still work on this other thing too. Because I think it would be cool to kind of blend the fitness and the writing into something together, which I'm not sure how that's going to work yet, but I was like, that would be cool. That'd be cool to be able to do that. So, yeah.
And so for our listeners that maybe didn't hear your episode last year, you did it was supposed to be a 92-mile hike
Yeah.
that you took some wrong turns
Yeah.
along the adventure. You you set out with a goal of doing it in 40 hours.
Hmm.
You were like 5 hours off pace after day one,
Oh
and
yeah.
it
Oh, no.
and it was a loop. So once you were into it, there was no way to
Hmm.
finish but to just keep going.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
it took much longer than the goal.
Oh yeah. Much longer than the goal. We realized we weren't prepared and we didn't really, because it was me and one of my friends, and we were like, oh, we don't have any outside help. We were really unprepared. We didn't pack right. And our heads were like, you know what, we're fit CrossFit people. All we need to do is hike a little bit here and there, and then we should be fine. And it wasn't like that. And yeah, and then and that was in 2020, and then I ended up injuring my hip after that for like a few months, and I was like, well, I guess I should have been a little smarter, but that has definitely been something that, like, I mean, I'm really glad I did it, because I think it's a good thing to have done. And then, but yeah, it's good. That's been a good thing to draw from in my writing. So,
Yeah, I can imagine that adventure alone would be almost a novel.
oh yeah, yeah. I wrote like a little thing about it, like a little article about it. But I was like, yeah, this could definitely be a longer little story.
So, do you see yourself once you're you're past your CrossFit competitive life
Mhm.
being a writer? Is that the dream?
Yeah, that would definitely be like, if I think of, like, in 10 years from now, if could be like a full-time writer, that would be super cool. And now, right now, in the meantime, I'm like, right now I want to just see what I can do with CrossFit. Probably start coaching again next year. Because yeah, and then because I still do really enjoy the coaching. I think this year has just been a good kind of like reset. Just really be able to dive in on a lot of my weaknesses, but then just keep writing and kind of keep building that, because yeah, I think it's been really cool, and I definitely think that eventually, if I could do that full time, that would be pretty cool.
With you going back to Montana, was it a good time to reprioritize, or maybe not reprioritize, but just know what the priorities were in your life?
I think so. Yeah, I think that. Yeah, I know that my primary focus, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do the full time athlete, just be able to spend time with my family. But I think overall, it has been actually a really good time to just kind of set some priorities in my life, and because I think I was kind of getting overwhelmed with a lot of things before, and I think just kind of taking a step back, being like, okay, I really want to focus on these certain things. It's been good to be able to spend time with my family, and I think that also just being really able to focus on certain things in CrossFit, but also being able, I guess, being able to focus on CrossFit, but also being able to take a step back from it at the same time, which I don't really know if that makes sense, um, but yeah, I think it has been a good time to reprioritize, and it makes me now like, I think the beginning of the season kind of started out rough. Like, I was really sick during the open, and then I injured my knee like right before quarterfinals. So I was kind of nervous about even doing quarterfinals. But I think now, just like having all that, I feel like really excited about semifinals and feel like I've kind of just gotten a few things in order. So yeah, I think it's been overall a good thing.
It's got to make you somewhat optimistic when you look at how you did in quarterfinals, and you're not really with an injured knee, you're not far off from where you were last year.
Yeah, but I was looking at that too, because especially like that the clean and jerk, the 185 clean and jerk, like that was like burpee box jump overs and heavy cleans were like two things that really hurt my knee. And so like even like having that, and then like last year for quarterfinals, I was definitely like, okay, put a lot on Thursday, that way I can redo. And this year I was like, okay, everything just has to be a one and done. I have to spread them out to make sure my knee's recovered. And yeah, being able to see like, okay, even with that, I'm still pretty close. So if I can really just hopefully get things figured out before, and then, like I said, my knee's feeling a lot better, and I can run and stuff again. So I'm hoping by semifinals that everything's feeling good.
Are you able to see like a body work person or anything like that to kind of help with the knee?
Um,
Or
I think I'm gonna go see the. I do know a couple people at the gym here that do that kind of work. So I think I'm gonna go in and see a couple people. And I have been able to. I mean, I kind of self-diagnose, I guess, which I know I probably shouldn't do. But I was like, okay, um, I've been doing like that voodoo floss stuff on my knee, and then like
Mm-hmm.
icing it, and just kind of everything I can do, and then doing a lot of exercises to like strengthen glutes and back, and then just kind of everything around there, like doing wall sits instead of squats. And I think that all that has been really helpful too, because it has been getting a lot better. Then I know there's certain things like pistols that like are just not good at all right now. So I'm just gonna not do them until semifinals, and then hope for the best when if they come up.
Oh, Rich only does them in competition now, so you're in good company, right?
Okay, good, good. That makes me feel better.
Yeah, he said they're just not worth the damage they do in a workout anymore, and he only does them in competition.
Well, that's definitely probably what I'm gonna have to be doing now because, well, yeah, because I'm like, I tried them like one time before because I thought they were gonna be in quarterfinals. So I was like, I should make sure I have that range of motion, and I did like a really little workout pistols, and then it flared it up so bad. So I was like, all right, you know what? Just no pistols. If they're in competition, do them then, and then otherwise just, and then hopefully in competition, like really full of adrenaline, and just don't even feel it.
Yeah. So, gosh, I have so many questions. I'm not even looking at my notes anymore. Your stories just fascinate me because you always like throw yourself into everything like 110%, right? Whether you're doing 24 hours of hero workouts
Oh yeah.
or or hiking the Wonderland Trail or whatever it is, now writing, like you're just all in on everything.
Mhm.
So you go into this season and it's kind of your first Boz programmed year.
Mhm.
And he's throwing stuff out left and right you guys haven't seen yet. Wall facing handstand push-ups,
Oh,
crossovers with the jump rope,
mhm.
and the V-ups. Do you like that aspect of it, or is that something that scares you a little?
Um, I guess kind of both. Like it does make me a little nervous, especially like the crossovers really weren't the best movement for me. I feel like I'm like not super like naturally coordinated, so things like that. That's why I didn't play like soccer, basketball, things like that. But yeah, so like things like that kind of make me a little nervous, but it also is kind of fun because you're like, okay, I have to work on all this stuff, and then just have to kind of be ready for everything. And so I think that's kind of been cool too, to just be like, all right, like the past couple months since quarterfinals, I've been like, okay, I just need to be more comfortable on my hands, like more comfortable, especially with like the gymnastics movements too. And like I said, since that is a weakness already for me, I've just been like trying to focus a lot more on like body awareness, just to kind of be ready for that. Cause it is kind of something fun to just be like, here's a challenge, see if you can do it or not. And I think it has been helpful too, because I feel like other areas of my gymnastics have improved just because I've been incorporating more of this other stuff in. So yeah, that's been fun.
So you had the privilege of going to the CrossFit Games on a team. So
Mm-hmm.
you've had the taste. How much does that make you want it more as an individual?
Oh, it definitely makes me want it a lot more. I remember like at the end of the time when we were going as a team, I was like thinking to myself, I'm like, I just know I want to be back here again someday. And really cool if it would be an individual. And yeah, that's definitely makes me want more because that was such a cool experience to be able to be on a team there, and then just be surrounded by like all the top athletes and just have everything like right there, and yeah, it definitely makes me want to be part of that again and be able to make it there. So we'll see.
Well, I notice you're sporting the sweatshirt from the 21
Oh yeah,
games,
yeah. Plus it's
which
nice.
which which was the team year, correct?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll say like I also really like all the clothes we got. It's always fun to get new stuff. But
Yeah, nobody hates swag. Free swag is
oh
the
no,
best
no, no,
swag.
no. Oh yeah, exactly. So like, if I want like new stuff, I've got to go to the games again so I can get new stuff.
So we talked about your home run hitting ability. You were lucky enough to be able to do Granite Games, which was outdoors in a
Mhm.
big stadium where you could actually do a long run, which was
Yeah.
right in your wheelhouse, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Now we're back inside. Um, are you just as good on a run on a true form or an assault runner as you are out on a football field?
Yeah, just any sort of running. I like running workouts. I just love, and also I've been running a lot more on the true form because that feels better on my knee, and so it's actually any sort of like just running is fun. So yeah, I'll take any running, unless it's like 100-meter sprint. I'm not as good at sprints.
So now we go from a 30-person field to a 60-person field, meaning that the ebbs and flows can be worse if you have holes in your game.
Yeah.
And the I think the key is going to be, can you bring that into a more consistent approach?
Hmm.
But you're going to have outliers. You're going to have people like you in that like 58 spot that have a home run and are going to come out of nowhere and just mess up the leaderboard.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and that's I think that's something that's kind of excites me for this year because I do feel like I have um, kind of um, I don't know
Yeah. Yeah.
smashed in. No,
You, you,
I'm like
you've reduced the gaps
yes,
in your game.
yeah. Like why can't I think of the word? But so I do feel like I've kind of reduced those gaps, brought up some of my weaknesses, and I know like they're still gonna be probably not my best placings. Like if it's like that event last year where it's like 10 legless rope climbs for time, something like that is probably still not going to be the greatest thing. But I do feel like I'm not going to be like last on, well, at least I hope not. But I feel like I'm not gonna be like super low on those. I feel like I brought that up a little bit, and I think it is then kind of cool to be able to have a lot of people with different strengths that will kind of mess up that leaderboard because I think that kind of makes it more fun too. So, but yeah, and then yeah, so I think that I think I'm excited for the bigger field.
Yeah. And for our viewers, this meant enough. But for our audio listeners, I just wanted to
Oh
explain
yeah,
it more in
yes.
words.
Oh yeah, that's good. I was trying so hard. I was like, what am I saying?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. We just got to smoosh.
Yeah, smoosh. That's a good
Smoosh
word.
them together.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Um so you're going to Pasadena.
Mhm.
Um you the workouts are going to be you're all be known before you get there because everybody's doing all the same and you're not even the first week.
Oh yeah.
Do you think that gives you an advantage?
I think so. I think it's nice to be able to have that time to kind of practice and also be able to look at what other people are doing. And then if you can kind of find athletes that might be a little similar to you and they're like, okay, they struggled here, like maybe kind of looking kind of what you can change. So I do think it's kind of nice to be able to see it first and then be able to go next. So yeah, I think I like that.
So, two of your former training partners from
Mhm.
last season are also going to the same semifinal. What's it going
Yes.
to be like to run into Mitch and Gabby?
It's gonna be super fun. I'm so excited to be able to go with them all this year, and then it's gonna be fun. Because I think that Carrie too. She's gonna be in semifinals with us too.
Oh,
So like,
okay.
yeah, so we'll be a whole fun little thing, and I am excited because last year I feel like when I was in Washington with all of them, like they were all placed at a different semifinal than I was, so I was the only one going to Granite Games. So I think that this year it's gonna be a little more fun to like have the group um, together because then we'll be able to kind of have a little more fun with it, and then yeah, I think it'll be good.
Are you going to be willing to share information with each other?
Maybe. No, yeah. I think I'm actually going to fly to Washington like a week before, and we're all just going to kind of like have our little deload week, kind of meet up and stuff, and then we'll all fly out together to California. So it'll be
Oh,
fun.
that's cool. I didn't know Carrie made it. I'm not down the whole way the list of
Oh
all of
yeah,
the
yeah.
participants yet. So I'm assuming I'm going to be contacting her soon to be on the show.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was cool to see her too on there. I told her, I was like, oh no, a running event now. She's a really good runner. So that's kind of fun that we'll be
So
able to
when
do
you
that.
went on the team, were both Carrie and Mitch on that team?
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, Carrie and Mitch were both on that team, and then yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So yeah, you guys got really close because you all have a top 10 finish at the games together.
Oh yeah. So that's been that is really fun, and then it's so fun to train with them, and it's gonna be fun to be able to be there all together, and then like I said, be able to fly out with them and just be able to travel as a group instead of kind of all separate like last year. So yeah.
Yeah, the one thing that's super cool about the I Love It crew is that you guys are just the nicest people ever. And I've gotten to meet you all in person. I
Mhm.
even met Carrie through Mitch last year at
Oh yeah.
Mac, I think it was, and so like you're just all the nicest people ever, and so
Oh,
it's going to be fun to see you all in Pasadena.
oh yeah, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I'm very excited for all that. So it's gonna be fun.
So my last question is: when you become a world famous writer, are you still going to be super super fit?
That's the goal. My goal is to always be super fit. Well, whatever that looks like at whatever age I am, but yeah, that's the goal. I told myself that maybe even someday I would do like another 24-hour workout where I could do something every hour and then like write in my spare and like the in between, and then like make like a short story while I'm working out or something like that fun. So we'll see.
Would delirium set in at some point in the middle of the night where the story may have some weird sections?
That's what I was thinking. I was like, that'd be kind of cool to just like see what happens and just then read it then when I'm not tired and see what comes out.
That that would be a fun book to read.
I was thinking, I was like, I need to do that at some point and just see what comes. Maybe in the maybe after the season this year.
Would you ever repeat the first 24-hour the COVID version you did where you had to actually switch the movements midway through because
Oh
you
yeah.
lost the ability to use parts of your body?
I think I would maybe not exactly the same as that, but I was actually a couple weeks ago actually kind of plan another little thing that I could do here with like the home gym that would kind of be a version of that, like and like kind of modify the movements so I could do them for 24 hours. Because yeah, that one that I did by myself that first time, I was like, well, like the after 12 hours, I was like, well, I'll have to stop doing this because I think I'm gonna not be able to do it anymore. So yeah, I changed the movements halfway through, but and then maybe I also had ideas of like maybe it was like every 3 hours you rotated a different thing or something like that. But we'll see. I definitely want to do something like that again, but I'll have to try to plan it a little better.
So has your mind always worked this way?
Yeah, I think so. But
Like
it's been,
finding things to challenge yourself with and then being creative about it. Like it sounds like you've actually put serious thought into the next 24-hour challenge.
oh yeah, yeah. I think it is really cool because it is kind of fun to be like, you know, like how far can you push your like your body and mind, and it is a cool thing to be able to see. And I've always really liked endurance stuff. Like obviously I like endurance events, but like that endurance thing has always been something that I've really thought was really cool. So yeah, and then be able to mix it with writing might be a fun thing too. So
So being an endurance athlete in CrossFit, do you have a hero that you look up to?
um, like a CrossFit hero.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know really. I think well, I just really I get inspired by a whole like people all the time. So whenever I see people doing anything cool or like super long like when I do see people do really long things, I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. So yeah, I don't think I have like a specific person that I'm like, oh yeah, they're my hero. I think I can just get like, yeah, when I see something cool, I'm like, wow, that's really cool. That makes me want to do something cool. And then, yeah, just the whole thing of, yeah, people. And even, when people are, oh yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, have you dove into all the crazy stuff that Sam Briggs has done?
Yeah, I was actually gonna say, I was like, yeah, when I first started CrossFit, I was like looking at, like, I would look up Sam Briggs a lot and be like, well, okay, she does really cool stuff. Because, yeah, she does a lot of crazy stuff too.
Yeah, like, she did some like 50K something or other backed by a run of like a 50K row backed by a marathon or like something's like insane. We had her on the show like a year ago and she was talking about it. And I think I went into a catatonic state because it just seems so insane to me, but it seems right up your alley.
Yeah, there's definitely, like, she's definitely been someone that I've like, especially when I was first starting CrossFit, I was like, wow, oh my gosh, she does really cool stuff. I'm gonna have to look at that too, because yeah, that's something like really cool that I'm.
And your body of work and hers are very similar. Like her home runs are your home runs. Mm-hmm. That's why
Oh yeah.
Devesh comes in and says, "Hey Scott, missed the beginning. Can you start the interview over again?" You good with that, Karisa?
Oh yeah, let's go.
No, we're gonna make Devesh rewind.
Yeah.
Well, this has been a blast, Karisa, as always.
Yeah, thank you.
Always a delight having you on and getting to chat with you. And so we'll see you in Pasadena.
Yes.
And maybe we'll get another soundbite from you after you kill an event.
Oh, hope so. Yeah, that sounds good.
So good luck the rest of the season.
Yeah, thank you.
And for everybody in the audience, thank you so much for joining us. We'll catch everybody next time on the Clydesdale Media Podcast.